A new Ransom and a new Nas album dropping the same weekend? It doesn't get much better, right? What's good, y'all? It's your boy Mixtape Moth. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button, as that is greatly appreciated. But today, I'm going to hit y'all with my thoughts on his new project from Ransom entitled Spare the Rod, Spoil the Child. Jersey City representative Duffle Bag Ran, Randy Nichols, is back with his third project of 2023. Now, in the summer, he released Director's Cut 4, an album that some have labeled their album of the year. He followed it up shortly after with the very solid Deleted Scenes 2 with Nicholas Craven. Now, with Ransom, you know he is going to give fans those poetic street scriptures, those rooftop sermons. And despite his veteran status in the game, Ransom still raps like he has a point to prove. Now, Ransom's been criminally underrated by hip-hop media for years, but recently he has begun to get some of his well-deserved flowers. But getting straight into this EP, Spare the Rod, Spoil the Child, it contains 5 songs lasting just 14 minutes. The features are Only 38 Spesh and Noir, and it boasts production from Mayor and TyJamz, who did a project with Ransom last year. Nicholas Craven, of course, Prophecy, and Sibbs rock. But with that being said, let me go ahead and just hit y'all with this track by track breakdown. The opener, The Powers That Be, is set to these motion picture-esque horns. It's a regal beat that seems fitting for a king. There's minimal drums, but Ransom is really rapping with the hunger of a prize fighter walking into the ring. On this one, Ransom is dropping some knowledge for the streets. What good's a cliff if you grab the edge? The lessons in the fall. You don't know what's war because you haven't bled. This little rapper asked for advice. Here's what I gladly said. For every Rick Ross, there's a Gary Webb out in Cali dead. Also, something to consider. A clown inside a palace could never become a king, but the kingdom and the palace can now be turned to a circus. So overall, a lot of food for thought in these bars. Strong opener that I have zero complaints with. Track 2, New Testament, has more laid back, jazzy instrumentation with these melancholy horns. And on this record, Ransom is really calling out the industry in general, the studio gangsters and the shady record execs. He takes aim at the fake gangster rappers with the following bars. You catch a case before the album drops. That's what made the album hot, but God forbid that album flops. Now you banging on your records. Why you think they found him shot? We call that shit a bloodstream, and they stream around the clock. And I also dug how he went in on the record labels. Why shed our blood for they empire? It's universal hate for them liars. And cross the Atlantic in a slave ship never was a priority for us to stay rich. So I know y'all peeped how he cleverly name dropped the names of some of the record labels, kind of on some jizza shit. You gotta read the labels. You gotta read the labels. All in all, I would say track 2 had my least favorite instrumental of the 5, but it's still a good song with dope lyricism. Right after, though, is the crazy highlight, Scapegoats. It features what I would consider to be the modern day version of The Firm, or at least the underground version of The Firm. Now that's Ransom, 38 Spesh, and Noir. And they all ruthlessly attack this gritty cinematic beat. I just love the chilly orchestral boom bap sound. There's pretty much some back and forth action going on. Now, all 3 do come correct, but I had to say that Ransom was the one that ripped this beat to shreds. Yeah, Ran was the real MVP here. Let's reload. You can't be a renegade with a weak soul. You'll die without a reasonable doubt for trying to repeat Hove. Also, I stopped glory. I squeeze. I ain't freeze when the cops caught me. Let's not bore me. I've been a drink champ before the ink stamp. These bullets interrupt when you speak. I call them shots Nori. And the last Ransom quotable I promised for this track was Scarred faces, Ghetto Boys stacking bills about the height of Bushwick. So as a big Ghetto Boys fan, y'all already know I was loving his wordplay here. 38 said some hard stuff as well, and Shay's portion was dope. But Ransom really stood out the most on this track, and I don't think I'm alone in wishing that these three individuals would lock in and put out a full-length project together. After this is The Desolate One, which I'm sure was likely inspired by Nas's verse on Hate Me Now, The Desolate One. This has a psychedelic rock beat from Craven, which was a change in pace from his more standard soulful instrumentation, but it was different in a good way. On this record, Ransom is speaking on the evils and giving us more grim street scriptures. He raps, this industry is full of savage demons and broken angels. You gotta love his slick wordplay on the following bars. Look in the pupils of every dog that I fed a meal to, one word, and they'll take your genitalia for memorabilia. Touch my kids and I damn near guarantee every pet will feel you. I also dug the eerie poetic bars in which he closed this out. Dark roads lead to broken dreams and hearts cold. How you not gonna smell blood with a shark's nose? All these premonitions destined to come. The graphic scriptures, a duffel bag. The Desolate One. Then this EP wraps up with Hymns, which is backed by a slower, ghostly beat with soft keys. Here, Duffle Bag is dropping more insightful gems, giving us some more ghetto hymns. He states, and usually if they can't destroy the person you are, then by far it wouldn't be hard to go after that man that you used to be. Talk to him, man. I also like a prime minister ordained. Want more fame? Your fabulous life can turn into Paul Kane's. No disrespect, a brother for life, but it's still a disconnect because I can't lose my life for a stare, so I can't miss a step. Not only was this verse very deep and streetwise, but it is oozing in those double entendres. So overall, I'm gonna give this project a rating of 4 mics. Now, it wasn't as soulful as his two preceding projects, but I did like the slight variety to the production. Scapegoat was the one that really grabbed my attention, just the way all three went in so aggressively, and I almost wish, more artists would do the same. And throughout this project, Ransom was sharp on the lyrical tip as expected, but he might have really outdid himself on some of these songs. I also dug the religious contemplative themes throughout, which did remind me a bit of some of the motifs found on his older projects like Heavy is the Head and 7. And I would be shocked if this is the final release we get from Ransom for this year. Knowing his prolific output, it's reasonable to believe that, we could expect 1 to 2 more projects before 2023 closes out. My favorite tracks include The Powers That Be, Scapegoats, The Desolate One, and Hymns. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section. It's your boy Mixtape Moth. I'm signing out. As always, it's peace and blessings. Ransom, spare the rod, spoil the child. One.